Alrighty, people.
Here we go.
Thursday night football. It's what we've all been waiting for. The matchup of the year. Patriots, Jets on prime time. Get your parlays in. Get your parlays. This is what we've been waiting
He is
to
not
watch all
excited.
week.
You still
Um,
didn't change road to 28 or 30.
you know we are drowning in content. I can't keep up with this. Oh, I'm gonna need to hire someone just to change that graphic. All right, we appreciate y'all for being here with us. Thank you for joining us. Obviously we've got Thursday night football tonight. Just quickly, excitement levels 1 to 10 for tonight's game.
I'm pumped. I think it's good. It should be a good game, genuinely.
Yeah,
You see some of these rookies, Jalen Polk out there, have a lot of
yeah.
Ramondre Stevenson. On the Jet side of the ball, can they get Garrett Wilson going? He can start cooking there. Brees Hall and a lot of fantasy teams. I think there's some there. This should be a fun game in theory. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, will make it even more exciting if Jacoby Brissett goes down and Drake May pops up.
that would be very fun. I've got Hunter Henry and Ramondre Stevenson in our home league, and Henry is my best tight end option. So I can't believe I'm starting two. Okay, starting a player on Thursday night already sucks, but starting two Patriots on Thursday night sounds like a death wish. But I'm
Yep.
2-0 in that league, so YOLO. Got to roll the dice sometimes. Um, hey, gang, I appreciate y'all for being here with us. Do us a massive favor. Go ahead and smash that like button as the stream is beginning. We appreciate y'all for being here. Um, Here's how it's going to work, okay? We are going to answer questions from top to bottom. The only time we're going to go out of order is if there are super chats. Super chats will skip the queue. Your question will get prioritized. I mean, if anybody's curious why, very simply put, if you're going to donate to the channel, then yeah, we'll take time to put your question first. So just so y'all know the dealio. And the first question that I can see is a super chat from Ocho Cinco in the chat, and he says, PPR need one Akers if no Mixon or Braylon Allen. If there is no Mixon, I would feel pretty confident in saying, hey, you've got a starting running back on a good offense. You might as well put him
Yeah.
in there over Braylon, who's, we don't know if
Yep.
what his role will be on any given day.
I completely agree. I am definitely going Cam Akers. Like, if you would have told me that maybe if Brees Hall was out and Joe Mixon was out, if I'm going Cam Akers or Braylon, I think we would both say Braylon Allen.
Yeah.
But it's Cam Akers for the both of us there, Ocho.
And here's the tough part. We have no idea if Mixon's going to play or not. He hasn't practiced thus far, but I mean, we've seen
Come
this
on,
throughout
baby.
Mixon's entire career. There's a chance that, last practice of the week he gets a limited practice in and then he's good to go. We don't really know. It's
I
because he
need
did
Joe
come back
Mixon
into the
not to
game.
play.
It's oh yeah. A little
Well,
update.
I want him to play in some leagues, but specifically in the Flock League,
Yeah.
I don't want him to play because I'm playing you this
So
week.
if you guys don't know what's happening, but Aki and I in the Flock League, we are facing off against each other.
And Zach's
Yeah.
believing. I mean, hey, Jordan Love practiced again today. Woo-hoo.
Did you see the
Woo-hoo.
report from their coach when they asked about it?
No, I have not. I just saw the practice.
It was funny because they were like, "So is Jordan Love gonna play or whatever?" And he was like, Sorry, what they asked was, "How is Jordan Love looking?" And the coach replied and said, "He's looking limited. He's looking real limited. Limited." That's literally what he said. And everyone's like, "Okay, how are we supposed to digest that and translate that? Are you saying he's not gonna play or he's gonna play? I don't know." But anyway, yeah. You hope Joe Mixon doesn't play. I hope Jordan Love doesn't play for multiple reasons. One, because of Jordan Love in your roster, and two, because of Jaden Reed. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But appreciate the donation, Ocho. The next super chat that I can see is from Ed. Guys, super chats will skip the queue. Otherwise, we go in order. Ed has a super chat here. He's donating. And do you see his question? Do you see Ed's question?
I'm trying to find Ed's question here. Ed, if you maybe something happened, you don't have to drop another super chat, or if you want, um, just put your question on the bottom there. But we do
Yeah.
not see that. Oh, here we go. He says, "Hi, golf or Baker this week?"
Ooh, that's a good one. I got
Um,
those guys back to back in my rankings, I'm pretty sure.
yeah. For me, this is Jared Goff against the Cardinals. Should be a high scoring game. It's clear that the Cardinals are a pretty decent offense, and this should be a high scoring game. I said that already. It
Yeah.
should be a high scoring game. So I'm going to go there. I think maybe for the Baker Mayfield and the Broncos game, I think that could be a good game, but this could be a game where maybe they're just running the ball because they're up early and often. Um, but yeah, give me
Ideally,
Jared Goff.
ideally versus Denver, you want to attack them on the ground, but Ayuk, sorry, not Ayuk, rent free in my head. Mike Evans is potentially going to be a difficult target with Pat Surtain. Godwin should have a decent game, but you try to attack Denver on the ground. We'll see if the Bucks do that. I do think Jared Goff is the play there in the highest over under of the week, by the way, which is Lions Cardinals. Appreciate the donation, Ed. That's very kind of you. Next super chats from Shermy, guys. Super chats do skip the queue. Otherwise, we will go in order. Shermy says started 0-2 and had Puka, traded Puka, Adams, Hurts, and McBride for Amon-Ra, Mason, Daniels, and Kelsey. Thoughts? Okay, let's take this player by player. You upgrade from Puka to Amon-Ra. You go from Hurts to Daniels, which I'm not like super against. You go from Adams to Mason, again, not super against. Where this falls apart for me is a tight end position. I've been saying this since week one. You kind of get a gut feeling of how a team is going to play, and I could totally be wrong. But even like as a Chiefs fan, Chiefs Commanders fan, as a Chiefs fan watching the game, it just doesn't feel like. I think they're saving Kelsey for the playoffs. I think Rashee Rice is kind of playing his typical role, and he's doing it better than what Kelsey can do at this point of his career with how old he is. So that's where it falls off for me. I don't know. Where would you have McBride and Kelsey ranked rest of season? Because I would have McBride as my tight end one rest of season, and I wouldn't have him and Kelsey in the same tier at this point.
Yeah, I mean, look, Kelsey definitely hasn't done anything. I currently have him tied in 7. Um, I have like George Kittle ahead of him, Dalton Kincaid. Actually, he's tied in 6 because I had Kyle Pitts here, but I'm gonna move that down. It'll be my tight end 6. I think Travis Kelsey would be more needs to be more utilized in this offense. Unlike Kyle, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you think Kyle Pitts needs to be. I just don't like to play. But what I'm trying to say is like
Yeah.
he's my tight end 6, so I can understand not being in the same tier.
Hey, one important thing to note tonight: CJ, jeez, excuse me,
Okay.
linebacker CJ Mosley for the Jets is out. Start your Hunter Henrys. This is the bias I needed to go ahead and roll Hunter Henry out today. Anyway,
Love that. I love that.
so okay, so McBride is your tight end. What rest of season?
Yeah, He's my tight end 1. I
Okay,
think like
same for me.
if Brock Bowers continues, maybe I need to change
It's
Brock Bowers to tight
they're
end
really
1.
in their own tier right now with maybe LaPorta.
Yeah.
We'll see how this week goes. But I would have Kelsey as my 7. I will put Pitts ahead of him. But I think if you have Travis Kelsey, here's like the bright side that you could be looking at. With no Isaiah Pacheco, this team could throw the ball more. And Kelsey could be a more important part of that offense more consistently. So that's something to consider. Anyway, I think overall this is a pretty even deal. To be fair, moving a player like Puka, who is on the IR and who might miss 5 weeks still, even today, and getting that package in return, I think that's gonna help you at least try and get into the playoffs for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so as well. Thank you so much for that super chat. We appreciate you. The next super chat we have is Slowish. If I'm saying that right, he says half PPR. He says flex 1. McConkey, Najee, Reed, Thomas. This will be Jaden Reed if Jordan Love plays. But if not, I'm gonna be going Lab McConkey here this week. I think all these guys have Brian Thomas and McConkey do have a tough matchup this week, but I'm gonna go with Lab McConkey because I think this is the game that they could be down and be utilizing him more.
Okay, I definitely get the rationale. It would be Brian Thomas for me. This is just one of those situations where, researching the Chargers, their offense so far, they are bottom 5 in passing attempts per game. They're top 6 in rushing attempts per game. Their defense is playing well. They're just not throwing the ball that much for me to go that way. I just feel like Brian Thomas, like his one target could be worth 4 for McConkey in that offense. Is just as far as like him being down the field, big play threat. That's just not McConkey's role. I think he has to get a touchdown, to pay off. But I definitely get where you're coming from. I prefer like that. You just need one play to pay off your week. and I don't think that one play is possible for McConkey. Do you know what I mean?
I definitely get what you're saying. I think the way I see it is like so basically it's high upside or safe floor. I think McConkey could get you the 6, 7, 8 points with those targets. Maybe he gets 4 targets, 5 targets for, 20, 30 yards. And that's just like your basic floor where Brian
Sure.
Thomas will get you, hopefully, at least we're hoping that he's gonna get you, the 40-yard bomb, 50-yard bomb touchdown, and that's the only target he gets that day. Or the only catch he gets that day. I think I'm going to go with the safe floor, but I completely understand that with Brian Thomas Jr. for sure.
Yeah, I can see both perspectives. But I would agree, Jaden Reed, if he plays. By the way, shout out to you, Slowish, for your first super chat. Thanks for deciding
Yeah,
to
huge
donate
love.
here. That's very kind. Next donation's from Mario. Mario,
Appreciate you.
appreciate you, man. Aaron Jones or Jerome Ford? I think you're not gonna like a video that releases tomorrow, Mario. I'll be honest with you. But here's what I would say. Um, I don't see how you start Jerome Ford. I really don't. Based off what we saw last week, it's just he wasn't even the most used running back last week in Cleveland. It was Deonta Foreman. Knowing that that is a range of outcome kind of surplants any matchup conversation I would have here.
Yeah. If Jerome Ford had like the same production he had in week 1, this would easily be Jerome Ford for me. But I agree, like I personally don't like Aaron Jones this week. He's playing the Texans. It's a really tough matchup. Um, I think he could get opportunity in the air where I just think our defense is terrible to where I think Jerome Ford could outscore Aaron Jones, but we just don't know if that's going to be split with Deontay Foreman or not. But yeah, give me Aaron Jones. I would just say this, Mario, as a Giants fan, I know our run defense is terrible. So Jerome Ford, if that is the game plan to get him going and hot, and maybe he's going to be the guy that leads this backfield and opportunities just for this week. If you believe that, I would be starting Jerome Ford.
Yeah,
But
you
it's a
almost
bit, it's just risky.
you
That's really
almost
risky.
you almost have to ask yourself, if you were to bet on that backfield, who would have more rushing yards? Which way would you go, and how much money would you be willing to wager on it? Right, like just
Hmm.
thinking about that logistically. For me, I wouldn't be willing to bet on it because I have no idea. Like I could see Foreman leading the backfield in rushing yards, so it's tough.
Yeah.
Um, all right,
Thank you so much,
appreciate you,
Marco.
Mario. Next super chat is from Brad. He says, "Which running back would you pick up out of Allen, Spears, Irving, Brown, and P Ryan?" Um,
In
Allen
order?
being Braylon.
Yeah, Braylon Allen,
I
Tajay
th-
Spears, Irvin Chase Brown.
I don't know where you stand here, but I have like a tier, and Chase
Go
Brown
ahead.
is probably at the bottom of it right now. Not
Okay.
that he's not like a good option here, but I would say P Ryan is super interesting just because I think you'll know soon if he's a decent player to have. Do you know what I mean? Like you'll find out very quickly, I think. Whereas
Yep.
with names like Brown, Irving, Spears, and Allen, I don't think you'll find out as quickly. Like, does that make sense? Like, I feel like this week you'll know, okay, this is their plan for Samaje Perine moving forward. Is that valuable for fantasy? Is it not? A name like Irving, you might have to wait for an injury. Same with Chase Brown. Spears is already injured, and Braylon Allen looked incredible. So maybe I don't know if you watched the video this week, Badaki, but I kind of compared Braylon Allen and his usage to what they did with AJ Dillon his first couple years in Green Bay with Aaron Jones. Like
Sure.
I could totally see Braylon Allen being someone who gets 12 touches a game. Because we've seen that with Aaron Rodgers. We saw AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones. We saw Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones. And that's not like people hear AJ Dillon, they're like, gross. Well, AJ Dillon was actually pretty good at one point. But anyway, all I'm saying is
Yeah.
I think P Ryan is the answer for me just because I would know instantly, and if all those guys are available, surely I can pick them up next week anyway. If
I
P
think for
Ryan's not the guy.
me, I guess I get what you're saying. For me, well, this is good because I think we're the complete opposite. I think P Ryan would be the least like the guy last from me. For me, this would be
That's
Tajay
fair.
Spears. Tajay Spears is somebody, a head coach coming out saying that we do want to get him the ball more. He's going to be getting the ball more. Tony Pollard looks phenomenal, but if Tony Pollard goes down, Tajay Spears is a guy, and he already has some sort of role in this backfield, and he did get injured last week, so that's why we saw that limited amount of those
That's what
opportunities.
that's what makes me not want to go Spears because if he's already dealing with an injury, I don't feel like this is the week he can take over anyway.
Sure. I think when I'm thinking long term, I want Tajay Spears out of all these guys.
I guess, but
Because
the
I kind
rationale
of
behind what I'm saying though is Tajay, in my opinion, will not do anything important this week. You'll know if P Ryan's important, and you can get Tajay next week if P Ryan isn't. That's my
I think
rationale behind what I'm saying though.
sure, and I think it can go both ways though. Like if Tajay does play this week and he has a good game, it's like, well, you should have picked up Spears, where we
No,
know
I
that.
agree. I just my conviction is that he won't because he's already dealing with an ankle injury.
Yeah, yeah, and I get that. And I think for me, I think I've even though there's no evidence behind this, I just feel really confident that it's Carson Steele and Samaje P. Ryan could be the pass
Yeah,
catching back there, which is good for Samaje. Um, but that's the
I hear
vibe
you.
check that I'm getting.
I
But
hear
yeah,
you.
that's it's a great question here, Brad. I would be going Tajay, um, then Braylon Allen, then Irving, Chase
Let's
Brown, then P.
let's
Ryan.
both just quickly, and we've both made great points. Let's both just quickly order these guys of
Yeah, yeah, that's
how
what I
we
was just
picked them
yeah.
up. For me, it would be Pirine, Irving, Allen, Spears, Brown.
Yeah, Spears. I think already forgot what I said. I think it was Spears, Allen, Irving, Chase Brown, P. Ryan.
Yeah. All right, we are going to move on to the next question. Hey, I just want to remind you guys, we say this every stream, but if you're going to drop your question and just spam it in the chat, unfortunately, we're going to have to put you in timeout. We don't want to do that, but no one's question is more important than the next person. We are, of course, if people are donating to us, we're going to look at their questions first. Hopefully, you guys can understand where we're coming from. We are going to try to get to everybody's questions, but if people are spamming their question in the chat, we'll just have to put you in a quick timeout. We don't want our chat full of your questions, and then we're trying to look through the non-super chat questions just piled up with your question back to back to back to back to back. It's really
Yeah.
frustrating. So that is why we'll have to put you in timeout if you spam. Hopefully you guys understand. The next super chat is from Sergio. We love all of you, by the way. Thank you, Sergio. He says, "Who for
Yeah.
flex? Terry, Braylon Allen, Bucky, or Jalen Naylor?" I think you
Is this
have to
Terry
go Terry
McLaurin?
here, right?
Yeah, yeah. I have to go Terry here.
As gross as it
Um,
is.
yeah, and look, all these guys are backups. Terry's the number one wide receiver. Does he get a couple targets this week? Does he catch that deep ball this week? That's kind of what you want from Terry, where you don't know what that opportunity is going to be for all those other guys there, Sergio.
Yeah, I
But
tend to agree. That's a tough call. You don't want to start Terry, but you really don't have a better option. Hey guys, be a friend to the channel. Go ahead and smash that like button. Got a like goal today of 50. We are very close to that already. You guys are being absolutely awesome today. Be a friend, hit that like button, and we are trying to get to 30K at some point this year. That would be incredible. So maybe if you've been lurking, let's hit that sub button too. Appreciate you guys big time. The next question is from Logan Short. Thank you for the donation, Logan. Appreciate you big time. He says, my team is Mahomes, Mixon, Connor, Chase Laporta, Rice, Mayfield, Brian Robinson. Says, any suggestions? So, for me, looking at your team, you have like a combination of players that I think are undervalued and players that haven't performed just yet. Like, for example, I think Jamar Chase is an absolute keep. You know, it's a very common comment right now on our videos right now where people are like, Jamar Chase is trash. He's not actually ever been good. You know, he's inconsistent. I think he's about to remind people who he is. You got names like Njoku that you can't sell who should be back and good. You got names like Addison that you can't sell who should be back and good. Laporta should be good again. He hasn't been great. Patrick Mahomes hasn't been great. I mean, and then Brian Robinson's underrated in my opinion. So anyway, I think the one name that stands out to me is Rashad White. As in, after this week, because this is a good matchup. He should be better. After this week, that is the player I would be trying to trade in an upgrade. Like packaging Rashad and James Conner, or packaging Rashad and Jordan Addison, for example, and getting like another hammer on your bench. You're muted.
classic. Classic. I completely agree. The guy that came to mind was, which is probably really difficult to sell right now. But if I can pivot, do 2-for-1s or get somebody in that same tier as Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
I love Tyreek Hill. I understand it. You know, when is Tua actually going to come back? We know he's going to be out for 4 weeks, but is that going to be another 4 weeks after that because he's still not healthy? If I can pivot to like a CD Lamb and however way you can, right? I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
going to be a perfect deal, but can I get a CD Lamb and a Monra a Nico Collins, a Rashee Rice, which you technically already have. Those are some names that I would be wanting to try and target and get Tyreek Hill off my hands if somebody believes that Tua is going to come back sooner rather than later. Um,
I have him in the
yeah,
flock league. I have him in a lot of leagues. That's Tyreek. I want to just tell you some of the names that I've been sent, just for reference. This is why I think it's tough to sell him. The most recent one was Chris Olave. You want Chris Olave or Tyreek Hill?
hmm hmm Look, I
Which
get
way are
it.
you
I,
leaning?
I, no, I want Tyreek Hill.
No, I'm not saying this to be like, I'm genuinely like, so people have a reference point if they own Tyreek Hill,
Yeah,
right? So you
yeah.
obviously want Chris Olave. I think the other offer I received was, um, man, I can't remember. Anyway, I was just trying to be helpful to anybody who owns Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, and I think like there's gonna be, I guess for all the Tyreek Hill owners, you are gonna get some of these low balls, but like, what happens if you're like in a deeper starting league? What happens if you're in a start 10 and someone offers you like Chris Olave and Chris Godwin?
Well,
Like,
Godwin's a wide receiver 1 through 2 weeks, so that's definitely way more interesting.
sure, sure. I think like there's definitely it depends on the context, right? If
Yeah,
you're in a
sure.
smaller league, you know, you're in a start 7, start 8, I just want the one for ones. If you are in a start 10, maybe I'm interested in getting, you know, once again, the Chris Godwins, the Chris Olaves, or the Chris Godwins and the DK Metcalfs, or
Yeah,
Malik Neighbors and something, right? Like maybe that's where it gets interesting, but I can understand where you're coming from as well. But it's a great team here, Logan. Great team.
yeah. V Rosado, thank you for the donation. Hey guys, super chats do skip the queue, otherwise we'll go in order. He says got offered Dell and Amari for T Higgins and Zamir White.
Call
Dell and
for
Amari.
Amari for T Higgins
Well,
and
the
Zamir
the first
White.
thing I would say personally is that Amari Cooper is probably the best buy low in fantasy football right now by far. I mean, if you made any trade this week where you got Amari Cooper, you're an automatic winner. Um, no, obviously that's a joke. I made a trade on the flock league. A lot of you guys saw that, and it involved Amari Cooper, kind of like the meme of our league right now. But I do think Amari's like genuinely. I do think he is a buy low. I think he's a really good buy low right now. But anyway, Dell and Amari for T and Zamir White.
I personally
The
want the wide receivers.
Yeah, I was gonna say the fact that you can get anything for Zamir White right now. Like I
Yeah.
thought this was an offer you would get after this week, after he plays a good matchup versus Carolina. So the fact that you can get that now is kind of surprising.
Yeah, and I kind of brought Zamir White as like you just got to get him off your team. In that shorts channel there. By the way, we do have a shorts channel, and we're kind of popping off on TikTok. Shout out to that as well. Like
Yeah,
players that
Badaki
you should be
is
selling.
killing it, guys, with this short form content. I'm telling you, if you aren't subscribed to that channel, if you aren't on our TikTok, Instagram, you're missing out because he is putting out great content on a weekly basis. And sometimes he's putting out content earlier than me on our channel as far as like the starts of the week, the trades. If you're looking for trade targets every week, he's doing that. I'm gonna spam that channel in the chat. Definitely go subscribe over there to Fantasy Never Stops with Fantasyland. Badaki's killing it. Okay. Best short form content in the game. Um,
Come through.
so we're
Come
both Dell
through.
and Amari, right?
Yeah, we're both Dell and Amari, and like I said, I was trying to sell Zamir White for anything I possibly can. But yes, this week is a perfect week to sell Zamir White if you do after this week, excuse me,
It's just
if
funny
he's
that
playing the
he was able
Panthers.
to do it before that game happened.
Yeah.
So well done.
Yeah, and some
Hello.
people like it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting the way they've been speaking about Zamir. I'm not gonna lie, like it did give me a little bit more hope.
Yeah, it was
And
like, well, they're
even
gonna. Yeah.
even seeing him in passing downs last week, like 2 minute drill, third downs, that was really interesting to see. Anyway, hello Tez, Zamir White tank for the flex. That's actually, in my opinion, this is actually a difficult question to answer this week.
Yeah,
I
look,
think Zamir White is the safest play here.
yeah, I get it. I'm still gonna be going Tank Dell, but I completely understand. Like, if there's
Yeah.
any week that anyone will tell you to start Samir White, it's most likely going to be this week. But I think Tank Dell, I think he's getting those opportunities. He's on the field for a lot of the time. I mean, he's probably on the field more than Tank Dell. I mean, Zamir White, excuse me. It's just
Yeah.
can he, you know,
The
on Sunday night, if he
uh
catches that pass, it's a whole different opportunity, a whole different game, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna go Tank Dell. I'm gonna go Tank Dell
The
for
the
me.
problem is you are kind of reliant on a big play with him Do you know what I mean?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That's the only issue with a name like Tank Dell is like you really need that big play. Um,
Actually, he said or Brian Thomas, Jason Steele, or Keon Coleman.
JSN
This
would
would
be
be
my number
JSN.
one. JSN
Yeah,
would
this
be
would be
number
J.
one.
We didn't read the rest of it. So it's JSN, then Tank, and at least for me, and then Zamir, then Brian Thomas,
I mean, I can
then
say with like the utmost confidence that if you somehow were able to get JSN in a trade this week, you've probably won your league. So, absolutely, you should start
you
him.
just gotta talk him up. He's trying to talk himself up here. If you haven't
I,
watched it, go watch it.
I'm just talking to people out there who are very smart, sharp people in fantasy football who see JSN and know that's probably the next, great league winner in 2024. No, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the donation.
Yeah,
Very, very
Eric.
kind. So to be very clear,
Oh, go ahead.
JSN number one, for me,
Yes.
Zamir two, for you, Tank two.
Yeah, completely,
Okay.
completely agree. Eric, thank you so much for the super chat. He says I tried it yesterday about Brian Thomas, Amari Cooper trade. It was Brian Thomas Benson for Amari Braylon. You have Brees. I saw your trade in Amari in the Flock League. I love for you to expand
Yeah.
your thoughts for or against. Okay, so go ahead. I'll let you go.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll be honest. Full transparency, guys. After I made that trade, I immediately sent a trade to the Brian Thomas owner in our league for Amari Cooper, just to see if there's any room here. Are you interested in this? They were not interested. The reality is, let's compare these situations just quickly, right? With Amari Cooper, you've got a veteran who now has more competition, still getting targets. He has more competition, and in reality, I have to be honest, hasn't played well. But one thing I will note with Amari Cooper Badaki, I don't know if we've thought about this enough. Do you guys remember Amari Cooper also held out for a contract this offseason? So the excuses we're using for Brandon Ayuk, we're not also using them for Amari Cooper. I just want to throw that out there as well, like with the whole Russ narrative. But the reality is Amari is an aging veteran. He does have a lot of competition in Cleveland now, and Njoku hasn't even joined the team. By the way, secret weapon if Jameis Winston becomes a starter. Anyway, but with Brian Thomas, there's just like this exciting, tantalizing, potential of what could he do. This is what he's already done through 2 weeks as a rookie. Rookies just get better. They just get more involved. Could he be getting 7, 8 targets a game and 3 of them are down the field? And with his talent, it's just more enticing. Like you're thinking upside. You're thinking about what you could be. Like the reality is Amari Cooper could be a top 24 wide receiver rest of season. But Brian has this like upside that you want to have on your team where if all things hit, he could be top 12 rest of season. So that's just the rationale behind
Yeah.
my take there.
Yeah, no, I like it. I think what's struggling for both of these guys is just their quarterback play. I think the quarterback play has been struggling tremendously. Like if you watch Drag's game, I think
Drags.
T-Law's kind of
We watching Drags?
Drags.
I mean, hell yeah.
If you
Let's
watch
go, bro.
if you watch the Drags and Browns game,
Got a local
you
spot?
can see like T-Law is definitely. I mean, I got a couple spots actually. T-Law is struggling, and so is Deshaun Watson. So, if either of
Yeah.
these guys can get it together, and then once it starts clicking, you can kind of see that, which you saw a little bit last year with Well, you didn't really see it last year with T-Law and Calvin, but you always saw it with T-Law and Christian Kirk. So.
I'll be honest though, so I agree with you. I almost feel like the offense in general makes no sense in Jacksonville. I kind of feel like everyone knows how to stop this team and there's no adjustments. It feels so stagnant. It feels so boring. There's no creativity. It feels just like a wasteland of potential. I don't think Doug Peterson keeps his job beyond this year.
I mean, look, it definitely is interesting if Doug gets fired. They signed Trevor Lawrence. He was doing pretty well. Blah blah blah. I mean, maybe it's the offensive coordinator. Is Doug calling plays?
I believe he has a hand in that. I could be wrong, but
I would say
whoever's calling
Doug's
plays, I mean they they're not doing well at
That's what I'm
all.
saying. Maybe it's the play caller. Maybe if it's not Doug, maybe it's offensive coordinator. We need to get somebody new
Yeah.
because I think the play calling has been pretty terrible. But yes, hopefully that helps, Eric. We appreciate that super chat. Thank you so much. And we're gonna go to the next one.
Yes. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate you,
What's
man. Very
happening?
kind.
He said Tyreek rest of season or Cup full PPR.
Hmm.
If you're telling me Cooper Cup was healthy and wasn't injured right now, I think we all want Cooper Cup. Let's say Cooper Cup comes back in week 5. You want Cooper Cup? I think I want Cooper Cup.
Here's my problem with the question. Well, one, it's like predict the future because we all know the
Yeah, I know.
scenarios where we would prefer one player or the other. But
Yeah,
the issue with going Cooper Cup here is number one, I get Tyreek doesn't have Tua, but you don't have Cup. You don't have him. You won't have him this week. You won't have him next week. You
yeah,
might
yeah.
not have him in 3 weeks. And if you think about Tua, he in theory he could be back in five
Like
weeks.
for the yeah, yeah.
So, in theory, I
Once
do
the
feel like
Dolphins,
Tyreek is the answer here for me pretty comfortably because you can still play him. We still know he's one play away from paying off every week, regardless of who the quarterback is. And Tua and Cup could come back at the same time, if not like 1 week apart.
I
So,
was gonna say when does bye weeks count for IR? No, it doesn't. Right? Because
no, I
Tua
think
could technically
it's games. I remember that being a thing last year
one,
with
two,
Kyron.
three,
It's
four.
games. It's
The
4 games.
technically Tua's gonna have 5 weeks to come back because they have a bye week in week 6. So you
Okay.
count from 3 to week 7 because that will be the last game on IR for Tua in week 7, and then week 8 he should be able to come back, but if that is possible.
Yeah,
So I
I
definitely
think the
get what you're saying.
being able to start Tyreek though, it just makes it him for me.
Yeah, yeah, no, I definitely get it. And like Zach said, it's difficult to predict the future, but um, I think the difficult part is that both of these guys kind of one's dealing with an injury and the other one's dealing with the quarterback play. And if you're
Yeah.
telling me Tua was out for the rest of the season and Cooper Cup is going to come back in 4 weeks, I still want Cooper Cup.
If I knew
That's
Cooper
what I
Cup was healthy today, he might be my wide receiver one overall rest of season in my rankings. But the reality is he isn't.
He's
Tyreek
not. Yeah.
is. So it has to be Tyreek. Palmer
Yeah.
Q, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for the donation. He says Amari and Coleman. Amari, I'm kidding. For Pollard and Dynasty, which side? So,
Wow.
Badaki and I notoriously not Keon Coleman truthers.
No, not at
Funnily enough,
all.
I checked on our Dicey channel and someone was like victory lapping Keon Coleman in a comment.
You
Um,
kidding?
yeah, they were like, "You
For
guys are
what?
so wrong on Keon Coleman." I was like, "How can
Whoa.
you say that right now?"
Because he got
Like,
5 targets
he
in the
had
first week or something
he
like
had one target in week 2. How are we saying that anyway? Um,
that.
here's the issue though: it's a dynasty league. In dynasty, we prefer to build around our wide receivers. Personally, I don't see like I believe that you could get Pollard for Coleman straight up. I don't think Amari needs to be a part of the deal.
Yeah.
Based off the way people play Dynasty, they're like, well, I've got the wide receiver one for Josh Allen in the future, which you and I don't think that's true. But so, yeah, I feel like it's
Yeah.
a little bit of an overpay for Pollard in Dynasty.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
In redraft, I'd make
Um,
that trade today.
yeah, I want yeah, for Pollard, no question. So he says I've got Pollard. So I'm not
Yeah.
either, but everyone is
This
telling
this
me this is value.
This will all
So
come down to your belief in Coleman, Palmer. So, Badaki and I will tell you the values on the Coleman and Amari side. But we will also tell you we do not believe in Keon Coleman. We could totally be wrong. It wouldn't be the first time. I don't feel like we have seen anything through the first 2 weeks to say that we're wrong or right. But, like, is there a Lad McConkey on their team that you can get instead?
yeah, I
Is
mean,
there a Trey Benson you can get instead? Jonathan Brooks. I don't know, just throwing out ideas so you get where we're coming from. But overall, I think there's more value on that Coleman side. It's just, do you think you can flip him or do you believe in him?
I completely agree. Thank you so much for that super chat there. He says Perry. He says Rashad White or Zamir White and Demarcus Robinson or Jordan Addison. I think we would both go Rashad White here. And either Demarcus Robinson or Jordan Addison. I think this is where I would say I would be comfortable starting both of the running backs.
Oh, I think they're two different questions though.
Yes, I understand. If I had to choose one, I would
Right.
be choosing
I
Jordan Addison. But like
okay.
out of these names, if this was your
Sure.
team, I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
want to start the running backs.
I definitely agree with you. Definitely agree with you. But I would go Rashad. The only place we're different here is Demarcus Robinson. I would go
Demarcus.
D Rob over Addison. Um, I just simply because D Rob has a chance to be the number one target. Addison doesn't.
Yeah,
You know.
I get you. I get you.
Manny, I appreciate the donation, man. This is your third super chat on our stream. Appreciate
Appreciate
you. He
you.
says, pick one for flex: McConkey, Hunter Henry, or Dowdle.
It's not Dottle.
It's not Dowdle. I mean, watch Dowdle now score the most points.
I know.
I don't
I feel like you'd have
know.
to rock with Hunter Henry.
Yeah, I was scared to say it. I'm glad you said it first. I'm not going to answer
I'll
the
say
question.
it. I'll say it. Let me look at the Jets and see
Hey, the
what
Jets. CJ Mosley isn't playing tonight. That's probably one of their best linebackers. Look, I'll tell you the rationale. You got to make your call. Honestly, guys, when you come to our stream, ask our advice, hear our rationale, but ultimately make sure the call is yours. I would also go Hunter Henry, and the reason is those corners are really good in New York. The wide receivers are very bad in New York at this moment, outside of Polk. And I feel like they're going to be kind of just dumping it off over the middle to Hunter Henry. So that's,
Yeah,
like, with respect to McConkey, they're kind of playing a similar role right now.
I get you. I get you. It's just a tougher matchup for Lam McConkey there.
Yeah.
Coming into this week, he's playing the Steelers. Steelers are pretty good against the pass this year so far in the first 2 weeks. Um, so I would be agreeing with you. Thank you so much for that super chat, Captain. How you doing? He said, "What's up, guys? Dynasty PPR send Kenneth Walker London for Jonathan Taylor and Flowers, or make a small move and just grab Sharps for now."
I have been
Um,
wanting to trade Jonathan Taylor. Yeah. We've been suggesting to trade Jonathan Taylor away in Dynasty for like this entire offseason. The honestly, the two players you and I, the three players you and I have suggested to sell high this entire offseason were Colts. Richardson,
yep.
Pittman, Taylor.
And John.
That's the
Yep.
three players we were roasted for the most on our Dynasty channel for saying that. I don't want a victory lap. It's only been 2 weeks. We'll find out. We
I'm
could be
victory
wrong.
lapping.
Yeah. But that's the reason I'm saying that's because I still don't want JT. What the hell is wrong with Shane Steichen? JT was averaging over 8 yards per carry, and then in the fourth quarter, he has the audacity to say, we wanted to put a pass catcher in the game. Sorry, how is Jonathan Taylor not your best pass catcher already? What are you... Okay, they drug test players after the game? Drug test the coaches, too.
Hey, look, I mean, I completely agree. Get him off your team. I would say this in a dynasty perspective, though. I do want Jonathan Taylor over Kenneth Walker. But
Yeah.
I think the bigger question here for me is right now, if the season continued as it is, if these players continued the way they were performing, would you want Flowers or Drake London?
Yeah,
And I don't think
well,
that's an easy answer, in my
yeah,
opinion.
you and I are on the same track here. Overall idea, don't really want Jonathan Taylor, but the reality is Zay Flowers looks really good. The usage in week 2 was really interesting and encouraging moving forward. So if I was getting the JT Flower side of this deal, I probably would have to accept it just purely based off how Flowers is looking so far. And by the way, purely based off name brand of a JT. I'd accept the deal and then I'd look to sell JT.
LJ and Jonathan Taylor. Exactly.
But
Exactly.
hopefully that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. We
Appreciate
appreciate
you,
you, though. Ace. Kikola
Oh,
Ace, I
sorry.
think that's how you say it.
I don't
Uh-huh.
want to skip on, but someone just commented something that was super interesting. And I feel like we should. It's Brian. Where's Brian? He said JT had 86 carries within the 5 when he was the number 1. This year he has 1.
I'm trying to find it, but
Crazy.
you can see
Anyway,
it. That is crazy.
Anthony Richardson
Yeah.
effect.
Well, that's kind of what we've been saying. Okay, I see it. That's kind of what we've been saying. That was like he's going to get vultured. Anthony Richardson is a mobile quarterback. We've seen that multiple times with mobile quarterbacks in the past as well. That's why we didn't love running backs with Lamar Jackson. even though last year was
Yeah.
a fluke. But you get what I'm
Well,
saying, though. Like,
I actually really did. I kind of had a different stance this offseason on that, but overall, I get where you're coming from. We are mostly on the
yeah.
same page.
But thank you so much for the super chat. I think it's a great conversation. Ace, he said trade Dobbins and Dell for Taylor and Nakua. Running backs are Devon, Connor, Dowdle. Wide receivers are Lamb and Waddle. Dobbins and Dell for JT and Puka.
Yeah, I would do that. I would
Yep,
like the
I
the
would do that as
reality
well.
is I feel like when Puka Nakua is back, you're ranking him as a top 12 receiver every week, regardless of matchup. With Dell, it's we just don't know. We just don't
Yeah.
know. We don't know if he's a good starter or not every week. I mean, the funny thing with him is Badaki Tank Dell could have 30 points this week, and you would still go into next week being like, will he bust? I don't know. Let's find out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I definitely hear you. Slowish, thank you so much. He said, "Shit, I'm dumb." He said, "Forgot to add Waddle and Swift to the question. Would you change your answer?"
Okay, that's all right.
Let's go back. No worries, man. What was the question before?
It was between Najee, Reed, Thomas,
Read
McConkey,
Thomas.
Waddle, and
Right. So,
Swift.
so this will still be Jaden Reed if Jordan Love plays over Waddle. For me,
Yeah, I
but
agree.
then, but then I think I would go Waddle over all these guys. Over McConkey, over Najee, over Brian Thomas, even though I hate it.
I would personally still go Brian over Waddle,
Okay.
but I could see how that could easily be wrong.
Do we know who the quarterback is here? Is
It
Skylar,
will be
right?
Skyler. It will be Skylar. Yeah.
Because I don't think Tyler Huntley. I saw a TikTok. He was like, "Bro Bowler,
Yeah.
Tyler Huntley is on the
Yeah.
team." I was like, I like a Miami Dolphins fan is all hype. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if it was real. That's the
I thought
I
that was
saw it and I
hilarious.
just immediately swiped away. I was like, this is stupid.
A
Anyways,
tweet just came out, by the way. If Packers quarterback Jordan Love plays, he won't be 100%, and he seems okay with that.
come on.
Why? Why would you like? I know you want him to play for our matchup, but why would you ever put your franchise quarterback out there if he's not 100%? We have seen this be a mistake so many times in past games and past years. Why would you do
Yeah.
that? If he's not 100%, I don't think he should play. And that's beyond our matchup. Honestly, it is. Obviously, it benefits me. That doesn't make sense to put him out there if he's not 100%. But you're right. If Jordan Love plays, Reed's the best option. Otherwise, I'm still going Brian. You're going Waddle. I get why you're going Waddle. For me, with Brian, he has his number one quarterback still. That's really
Yeah.
the reason.
Omar, thank you so much for the super chat. He said, "Guys, what's your view on DJ this week?" I think DJ should be a great star. I brought him in that shorts channel. I think there's some opportunity here, especially as he's going against the Indianapolis Colts. The
Yeah,
Colts
great
are pretty
matchup.
bad right now against the pass, which they give up the fifth most points to the wide receiver position. And I think the other key factor here is if Keenan Allen doesn't play. I know
Hmm.
we saw them struggle last week, but we have to remember the Texans are pretty good against the pass, or at least above average, and they're not the
Yeah.
best, but they're above average, and they have a really good secondary. He was playing against Derek Stingley, and Keenan Allen looks like he doesn't practice today, which means just once again more opportunities for DJ Moore to get behind the secondary for the Colts and just get one of those big plays. So I think DJ Moore's a
So
great start.
I almost like, and I don't want Colts fans to be like upset about this because I know they already hate me, but I almost view the Colts as like a discount Washington on your schedule. Do you know what I mean? Like they are
Sure.
really bad against the run. They are really bad against the pass. Great matchup for your receivers and your running backs. Um, and they have a quarterback on the opposite side who, is a rushing focused quarterback. So I kind of feel like their smash starts every week. At least that's been proven so far. But the problem with DJ is just they it's so weird. I feel like we thought this offensive line was going to be good. I felt like they
Yeah,
made so much
they
investment, but Caleb
they ukaduked us for sure.
Caleb has no time to even breathe back there, and that is really impacting his ability to read the field. I think he is a lot further away from where he needs to be than people realized. So I'll say
Look,
this, Badaki.
yeah,
This is almost a make or break for DJ. As in, if he can't perform versus this secondary with no Keenan Allen, most likely, I don't know how much you can trust him moving forward in more difficult matchups.
Yeah,
Um,
I definitely understand that. I think, yeah, the offensive line definitely has not been the improvement that we wanted. I mean, they have such a good like they have like franchise names on
yeah,
this. Oh no, right. Tevin Jenkins. I mean, didn't they draft another guy in this year or 2 years ago? Anyways, basically what I'm
that's
trying to
yeah,
say is um I personally believe Caleb Williams will be okay. I think what mainstream media is saying about comparing him to Justin Fields, you just reset your
oh, well,
franchise
that's
and he's
silly.
another
Yeah,
Justin Fields. I think that's completely silly. I think he's a overall better quarterback, and I was a Justin Fields believer. I love Justin
yeah.
Fields coming out of college. Um,
He
I think he'll be fine.
this is
And
yeah.
uh
Go ahead, my bad. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say like even though what was Caleb so good at in college, and that was escaping the pressure. Now this is the NFL, is completely different, but what
Yeah,
he's also great at is throwing the ball down deep while he's under that pressure and out of the pocket. And who's going to be down the field? My hope and expectation is DJ Moore, and DJ Moore, which we saw last year with Justin Fields scrambling out of the pocket,
yeah.
not having the best offensive line. DJ Moore was there to catch the ball. So that's kind of the things that I'm hoping and believing for. And Caleb Williams is a better passer than Justin Fields, so that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I think I did really funnily enough, maybe the most helpful video I released this offseason is one that got the fewest amount of views. It was earlier in the offseason, and I basically did research looking at can you trust a rookie quarterback for your wide receiver in fantasy? And the overwhelming research was no, you can't. And we were coming off a year where Nico Collins and CJ Stroud were going crazy. CJ Stroud was a rookie, and everyone's viewing Caleb Williams as like the next best guy. But the reality is, the vast majority of the time, a rookie quarterback is not ready to produce. The vast majority of the time, they are not
Dude,
putting up big touchdowns. They're not reliable for your wide receiver, and it
mainstream
doesn't
media is
look
pretty
like
savage
he's
too.
ready yet. I mean, we have to
Yeah,
give him time. 99% of rookie quarterbacks are not CJ Stroud. Just give them time. But
yeah, I agree.
anyway, yeah. Yantis Antetokounmpo. I appreciate you, Demetrios. He says Kittle possibly not playing. Pick up Hunter Henry. Not gonna lie,
I
trading
haven't.
away Ayuk and realizing no Debo, no CMC, and maybe no Kittle is really starting to not feel good.
Come on, baby, that's what I want to hear. Yeah, look, George Kittle not practicing on Thursday definitely is tough. When a player doesn't practice on Thursday, you're like, ooh,
Especially a
not looking good for the
hamstring.
weekend. I would personally say you kind of have to start Hunter Henry with the question marks
Is
because
that new, by
at
the way? Is that a new injury?
this is
Like,
3 hours ago. I'm looking at sleeper. Kittle
okay,
doesn't practice
go ahead.
Thursday.
I'll start. I'll check the news and see if that's
Yeah.
real time.
It says hamstring doesn't practice according to Matt Bowers from the Athletic. Was not in Wednesday injury report and now approached this weekend with uncertain
Okay, he
status.
was not in Wednesday's injury report. Is that right?
He was not on Wednesday's injury
Okay,
report and will
so
now approach
the
this weekend. Yeah.
overwhelming evidence historically is that if you are not on the injury report early in the week and then you pop up later in the week and it's a did not participate, your percentage of playing is very low, very
Yeah.
low. So I think just be like if we knew Kittle was playing, absolutely, you start Kittle. We don't know that, so you might have to play it safe here with Henry.
I agree. I agree. You have to play it safe there with Henry. Appreciate you, Demetrius. Dennis, the Dennis family. Shout out to
Hey,
the
shout out
Dennis
to the
family. Hey,
family. First super
that's
chat
a
as
cute
well
little
on
photo. Shout
on
out
the
to
channel.
little baby, and you had a wife there. It was hey,
Shout out to you.
family thing is shout out to you. Family's great.
Football brings
Do I
family
start
together.
Hunter? Do I start Hunter Henry or Jake Ferguson this week with him being questionable? It looks like Jake Ferguson is on track to play this week. I personally would be starting Jake Ferguson over Hunter Henry, but that's also very hard to tell you to start him because what happens if they say, well, let's just give him another week on Sunday? But he was limited. It looks like he is going to play. Is that going to be a limited amount of playing as well? Is he going to get the full workload? I think these are things we don't know. So to play it safe, I would recommend Hunter Henry, but for me, it would be Jake Ferguson if I knew
Yeah,
that he would be back 100%.
it's very similar to the previous question. If we knew the reliable starter was available that you had, we'd play him. But um, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if Jake plays or if he sits. It's really a 50-50 call at this point. So I think you have to go Henry. Good luck, though. That's a really tough call, and I hope it works for you. KS Mauve says PPR Bijan, JK Garrett, Nico, Bijan, Brian, Demarcus Robinson. And he says, okay, so it's it's fuck, sorry.
You
Chuba,
okay?
Puck. Fuck.
This is a family-friendly stream.
Sorry, we just had a family on the chat. All right,
I know.
Chuba, Puka, JK, Demarcus Robinson, and Puka. We just said Puka. Okay, hold on. The question starts at JK. This is why this was so confusing. Okay, JK, Demarcus Robinson, and Puka for Olave and Jonathan Brooks.
I'm still confused.
Okay, so
JK, Marcus
essentially,
Robinson, and Puka.
yes, exactly, for Olave and Jonathan Brooks. I think Olave is a great
JK,
buy low, but I'm keeping the JK side of this deal still.
Yeah, I agree. Best wide receiver plus flex. I'm 2-1 right, 2-0 right now.
Especially if
Yeah.
you're 2-0, just wait on Puka.
I'll be honest with you. I love Jonathan Brooks. I'm really concerned about this offense. If they can get the ball rolling, I'm not necessarily sure. The secondary, the wide receivers aren't making an impact, which means that the first thing they're going to do is just immediately stop the run until they can get the ball rolling. And maybe that changes in a couple weeks. Maybe Andy
Well,
Dalton
I actually
is the
was
red
gonna say I
rifle.
think that changes this week. I think
Yeah.
you could see some realistically like encouraging signs for the running back, specifically if Andy Dalton's he is definitely
Yeah.
someone who can dump it off to the running back in space. So I think that could change this week. I would not be surprised, Badaki, if Deontay Johnson's like a top 24 finish this week with I'm not going to rank him that way. I'm scared, but I wouldn't be surprised if he changes a lot. But overall, you're 2-0. You don't need to sell low on Puka here, but I would definitely be shopping JK around. Definitely package JK with another name and do a 2-for-1.
Sure. I completely agree there. Thank you so much for that super chat. Isaac, he says, speaking of the Browns, what's up with them removing Ford after 6 carries for 62 yards in the first half and putting
So
in the
weird.
press? I mean,
So
you tell
weird.
me. I think maybe they just wanted a change, and I think Jerome Ford was looking phenomenal. Comes off the field. Does he get hurt? Was he a little bit like limpy? I don't know. I need to go rewatch that game because the Giants play the Browns. I like to watch who they play every other week or the week before, right? So I need to go rewatch that game and just see what actually happened. But it's stupid.
Yeah, did you see I think the funniest report this entire week was Jerome Ford on Jameis Winston. Jerome Ford said he calls plays in the huddle like he has a surprise to tell. I just thought that was hilarious, like because I could totally see Jameis being like excited, like and I just thought anyway. But yeah, the usage is really strange. I mean, week 1 you give Jerome Ford everything. Okay, all right, so he's going to be your guy. Nope. Week 2, Deonta Foreman's our main rusher. Can you make a decision? What do you? Why is so? Anyway, yeah, very strange. I think it's going to be a split backfield, which means it's not very interesting to me. Next super chat is from Santo Molinari. I appreciate the donation. Very kind. Hi, guys. Would you do Worthy for Laporta Kincaid? I have Cup, Rice, T, Moore, and Worthy. My tight end is Pat.
Yeah. Yes, I would.
I would in a heartbeat. Yeah. I think I still prefer Laporta.
Yeah, I think whichever one you can get, I'm happy. But yes, I do prefer English is hard. Laporta.
I know
Thank you
it
so much
doesn't
for
feel
that
like
super
it
chat,
right
though.
now, but having a Laporta and Kincaid in your lineup instead of Pat Frymuth is going to do so much for your lineup compared to deciding if you should start Worthy or one of those other names. So I like it a lot. Swethen with the next donation. I appreciate you. He says trade Devonta Smith and Ridley for AJ Brown.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing that. But I think the context is important. Is this start 10? Is this a smaller league? If this is a smaller league, give me AJ Brown. I know he's injured. I don't care if I lose this week. I want AJ Brown. Personally.
Yeah, I agree with you that context is everything, and it would completely change my answer. So, for example, if you're in a 10-team start 7, we'll take AJ Brown here. If you're in a 12-team start 10, we'll take the Devonta Smith, Calvin Ridley side. Appreciate the question. A Wong here says trade Rashad White for Jacobs. I have Love and Reed. I don't want that much equity of one team, but I definitely prefer Jacobs rest of season over Rashad
Yep.
White. So I would probably take that deal and then just look to see if I could sell Jacobs. What I would say just quickly is I think Jacobs, this is not an easy matchup. Rashad White has an easier matchup. So you might be able to do that after this week and get more. But overall, rest of the season, I'd still prefer Jacobs.
I agree. Berg, I don't know how to even say this first part. Start
Fleishenberg.
two. Fleishenberg. Start two. Full PPR Moss, Robinson, J.K. Sharps. For me, this is Zach Charbonnet because it looks like Kenneth Walker is not going to play. He missed practice again this week. And
Yeah.
then next it will be Zach Moss. I love the matchup this week against the Washington Commanders. You expect this team to be up. You can easily see Zach Moss falling into the end zone. Um, so give me. I would start Zach Moss over Brian Robinson this week and J.K. Dobbins, who both technically. Well, J.K. Dobbins has a tough matchup, but Brian Robinson, I think you can potentially have an argument for, no doubt.
Yeah. Um, okay, I'm definitely on board with Moss. I think Zach Moss definitely is the play. But between
Barb, you're not going to
Robinson,
start?
sorry.
Charbonnet? You're not going to start for sure?
I think it's a much more difficult question to answer. With him and Robinson Jr. there, Brian. Um,
Sure.
I
Well,
I would lean
Kenneth Walker out?
Charbonnet. Sorry.
Even with Kenneth Walker, I don't. Sorry, even with Kenneth Walker out, you were questioning Charbonnet over Brian Robinson.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
that's
Charbonnet
fine.
looks awful. I mean, you rewatched that game, right?
Yeah, I did. I
He
that was the
looks
game that I watched.
he
I mean,
looks
look,
absolutely terrible. I
he
mean,
looked
I
terrible, but he got those targets in the air, which is exciting.
he did. What if those don't
Um,
always come though? I mean, you have to keep
yeah.
in mind. I think Geno Smith threw the ball, guys. Geno Smith threw the ball 44 times. He might have to keep doing it because Charbonnet is so inefficient on the ground. Through 2 weeks, he had 1.5 yards per carry in week 1, 2.7 yards per carry in week 2.
Yeah.
Charbonnet, I loved him coming out. He looks so bad. He looks like if Brian Robinson took a whole bunch of NyQuil before going on and playing in a game. He looks so slow. Um, however,
He does look
Char-
slow, but I think the opportunity is there. But yes, I agree.
that's what I'm trying to say. Like Charbonnet is going to get the most of the opportunity there, and they are heavily favorites versus Miami, which I don't think they should be heavy favorites, but they are. So that does lead me towards that answer. But I'm trying to explain why there's so much. I feel there's so much nuance to the question.
Yeah.
I
Someone
feel
said
like it is
Macintosh
more
time.
difficult.
Gosh, imagine Kenny McIntosh comes out anywhere.
Yeah.
But
Well,
thank you so much for that super chat.
Charbonnet looks like I don't want to overact, but he looks.
Look, he looks.
He doesn't even look like a top 40 running back in the league right now.
I think he doesn't look good. I just if I'm looking at this matchup, which I think we both see this differently. I think they should run the ball. They're gonna be up early. At least my hope and expectation because of Skylar Thompson. I think he's gonna struggle. And if it is a negative game script, let's say Miami does surprise us and Skylar Thompson is he's dueling it. That's even more safe for Zach Charbonnet to get more opportunity in the
Yeah,
air.
I just
But
feel like Mike McDaniel's one of the brightest minds offensively in the NFL right now, and he can scheme up one game to look decent offensively. I think it'll be
yeah,
closer than you.
let me
Um,
think. Yeah,
but all I'm saying is I would not be surprised if Brian Robinson outscores Charbonnet. But I agree
yeah,
with you. I'm just trying to tell him why this is a tough one.
sure.
By the way, it's your first super chat, Fleikenberg. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for the donation.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Next one's from Darth Twerk,
Come on.
which is absolutely
Um,
incredible. I mean, look at the icon. I want to know what kind of content he's putting on YouTube. That's a channel I want to subscribe to. He says, "Is it safe to start Ramondre? The Jets D has been bad, but it's their home opener. Plus, the Pats are down. Their starting tackle and guard. Hey, yeah, that is something we should talk about. The offensive line is really injured in New England, but Is it okay to start him? Yes. Why? Because if you're in any PPR format, he does get work through the air as well. He
Yeah.
has had over 20 touches in both of his first 2 games. Yeah, I think I would be comfortable to start him. I mean, the question is, do you have a better name? Like, of course, if you have a Tony Pollard, we'll go there. Of course, if you have a James Cook or a Jonathan Taylor or a Gibbs Mason, you go that way. But if you're debating between like Ramondre and like, oh, do I just throw Gus Edwards out there? No, you go Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you start Ramondre with, you hope maybe this team is down. I think the best thing for Ramondre is that they're down, which has always been the case outside of week one, and he still got 25 touches,
Yeah,
or technically 28 touches in total. So I think regardless of positive or negative game script, Ramondre Stevenson is going to be getting the ball,
it's
which has been
so
really encouraging.
it's so crazy. What if I told you that through 2 weeks, Ramondre Stevenson had 15 receiving yards? Where would you think he would be ranked amongst running backs in fantasy football on the Patriots offense? He has 15 total receiving yards. Where would you think he'd be ranked?
I mean, I guess bottom 25-ish.
I would say like RB 40. I mean, but the guy is
Okay.
dominating on the ground. And the
Yeah,
good
he is
news is
dominant.
like if the Patriots have a chance to score, it's probably him who's punching it in. Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, he's killing it. He has the fourth most opportunities amongst running backs right now in the span of 2 weeks. So
he's killing it.
on the ground, not in air, on the ground.
Yeah. It's just
Anyways,
crazy the Patriots are able to do that. Yeah. Next one is
yeah,
from Bo Spam. Is that right?
Bo Spam. He says start three: Collins, Wilson, Neighbors, Smith, and JMO. I think this one is Nico Collins for sure. How can you sit Garrett Wilson? And it's between Neighbors, Devonta Smith, and JMO.
I'll go Smith with no AJ Brown.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Smith with no AJ Brown as well.
But
That's where I was going. It's hard to sit Neighbors and JMO.
that's what I was gonna say. You got to recognize those guys are week winners any week. If I had this many options, I would probably try and consolidate. I'm not gonna lie. I'd probably package Smith and or Neighbors with someone on my team to improve in a trade. But that's the way we'd rock with it. Keaton, appreciate the donation, man. He says start Ramondre tonight or pray that Higgins gets volume on Monday. Well,
Hey,
I
sorry, continue.
I
I'll
was just gonna
give you my
say
two
like
cents.
he's still limited. He hasn't gotten a full practice in.
I think that's encouraging for someone like T. Higgins, though. Like
No,
limited is
I
full
agree,
practice for
but
T. Like that's like, oh, like I see that for T. Higgins, and I'm 80% confident he's gonna play.
yeah,
That's how I feel with T. Higgins.
I love that. I just don't know if I believe it.
Yeah, and that's the hard part for me to tell you. I don't want to tell you to start T. Higgins. Let me ask you this, Key. Who's your other option? Oh, he says also have Pickens and Demarcus Robinson if Higgins is a no-go. Yeah, you see, I would just go Ramondre.
I
I'm not a
would
big
too.
Demarcus
I mean,
Robinson guy. I need to wait and see. And Pickens has a tough matchup against the Chargers this week.
if I knew Higgins was playing, I'd probably play him in this matchup, but I don't. And by the way, is there a chance Higgins is on a snap count? Maybe. I think
True.
there's just too many questions. So good
I
luck.
understand.
OJ says, would you take Dobbins for Tyreek? Absolutely not.
No, no,
That's
do not do that.
like not even in the same stratosphere of value rest of season. Tyreek by far for me.
Agreed.
Appreciate the super chat, man. Next question is from Migs. Migs says, rate my team. Let's have a look here. Dak, Amon-Ra T, Brian, JT Cook, Brian Robinson, Hawk,
Yeah.
Fields. Not bad, man.
All
I mean, okay, for a
all the money.
14 team league, that's pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
For a 14
Yeah. I
teamer,
mean,
that's impressive.
I would say the only downfall is your tight end, which
Might be figured out soon.
he says Gasecki is a good start. I guess Gasecki is really the only start you can have. But yeah, you might figure that out soon.
He's a
And then
fine
he also
start. It's
says,
tough that he's not practicing right now.
yeah, I says Higgins or Brian Thomas. I think you have enough times to see if T Higgins is going to play.
Yeah.
So I would just wait and see, and you probably know your answer.
It'd
But
be Higgins
if
for me if he plays.
yeah, it'll be Higgins for me if he plays as well. Just Chrome, thank you so much. He says Cincy or Seattle's defense got to drop one since he has Carolina next week. I personally would pick up the Bengals defense because of those two reasons. They play Washington on Monday night, and then they play Carolina next week, so you have two good matchups. And Zach is right. I mean, I think Skylar Thompson is going to make mistakes, but Daniels knows how to scheme up some good plays, so maybe that team does score. But I think it's also iffy because what if Carolina comes out and looks completely different with Andy Dalton? Then it's kind of difficult to start a defense against
Hmm.
Andy Dalton potentially. So I think we'll know both of those answers clearly this
Well,
week.
funnily enough, we are kind of like
Mhm.
both contradicting our previous points, but I think
Yeah.
like if you hear the rationale, it makes sense. I would go Seattle here. There's been a lot of talk about bad quarterback play from rookies. I personally, and I am biased because I'm a Commanders fan, I think Jaden Daniels has been very good. He hasn't stretched the field vertically as much, but he also has made very good decisions. He's completed a high percentage of his passes. He has no interceptions, no turnovers. If you look at defenses against Commanders so far this year, it's actually not been a good matchup. They are 24th in points allowed. They, on average, give up 4 points per game to defenses. So far, they've not been the best matchup. Um, that's why I would slightly lean Seattle. But we're kind of, you know, what's the word? We're magnifying this by 10 and trying to find reasons to start a defense.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely get what you're saying there. Daniel,
But
how you doing, brother?
to be
Oh,
fair,
go
I will
ahead.
say, just lastly, if Cincinnati does have Carolina next week, I didn't realize that, you might as well just keep Cincinnati and play them.
Yeah. Daniel, appreciate the super chat. He says Akers or Damian Pierce if Mixon's out. I think for the both of us will be Cam Akers if Joe Mixon doesn't play, which doesn't look like he is. So most likely he's going to be Cam Akers. Um,
Well, Damian Pierce isn't practicing anyway, so I don't think he'll play.
yeah,
Mixon, if Mixon gets a limited participation in, he could play, but Akers over Pierce for me. Um,
yeah.
DX Rick, appreciate you, man. He says, "What's up, guys? I'm in a 10-man PPR. I have Chase, Smith, Harrison, Wilson, one flex option. Who do I start and sit?" Okay, I'm going to go ahead and assume that he has two wide receivers and one flex. So I'm going to assume that the question is start three because the way it's phrased, it sounds like it's start one, but I'm going to assume it's a start seven league, and he's asking us to start three wide receivers. If he's in the chat, please go ahead and let us know.
Let us know.
But if we're starting three of these names, it's Chase, it's Marvin, it's Wilson.
Yep, that's exactly where I would go.
Could you make an argument
As
this is
well.
also kind of like make or break for Garrett Wilson as far as like his upside?
It definitely is. Like
And if he
even
can't do it
though
now,
like what are the Patriots tonight against the pass or the wide receivers?
they've been pretty bad.
Um,
A
Patriots.
top seven matchup.
Yeah, so top seven. So arguably, he should have a good opportunity here.
Yep.
It's also the home opener for the Jets. We have to see, that high upside that we drafted him at in that first round, the end of the first round. So, yeah, it is make or break there. Um, Goat, no Billy. He says in the full PPR format, would you go Garrett Wilson tonight over Olave on Sunday? Yes, I would 100% be doing that. My receivers are Jefferson, Rice, Olave, and Wilson. Yeah, I will start Garrett Wilson over Chris Olave.
I would. I talked about this in my video. I think this is an Olave blow up game. I think he goes
Yeah.
crazy. But I feel like you have to start Wilson based off the targets between these two names. Good luck. Ian, this is your first super chat. I appreciate you big time, man. He says, start Henry or Laporta, Tank or Mason. So definitely Jordan Mason. And
Yep, I
then
agree.
I'd probably rock
I'm
with
going.
Laporta still.
I'm going Sam Laporta. Yeah, I mean,
I could
I
see
think
that not
this
panning
this
out, but
is
I'd
I
I'd
think this
rock
is a
that way.
make or break week, in my opinion, for a lot of these tight ends, or to where
Mm,
like I don't think they're going to be absolute smash starts on a week to week basis. Like Hunter Henry, sorry, Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelsey. All these
yeah.
guys have been a huge disappointment so far, and as we get deeper and deeper into the season, we're just going to understand that. these offenses maybe just don't want to use the tight end position this season.
Well, that's what I
I
was
guess
gonna
this
say.
year.
I definitely get where you're coming from, but I feel like it's less make or break for the Titans just because what are you gonna do? You're gonna pick up
Sure.
Pat Fryermuth and start him.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So you're definitely
I
right. It's
definitely
like
get you.
expectations wise, I could agree with you there.
Um, Next one here, I don't know how to say. I'm not going to butcher it. So should I start Swift or Pollard this week? For me, for both of us, I would confidently say Tony Pollard.
Cuba.
Cuba.
Yeah, definitely Pollard. One of my favorite starts of the week. Thanks for your first super chat, Cuba. Very kind of you, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. Same thing for
Omar. Yeah.
yeah, Omar. We appreciate you. It
Well,
says
that's his
it's
fifth
most
actually.
it is his fifth. Sorry, it's most a good trade for Keenan.
I
I don't think I think this week you might be able to get more for Zach Moss. So I don't think you should go trade for Keenan Allen right now. And wait until Zach Moss goes off, in my opinion, on Monday night, and then you can see where you could probably tier up even more from Keenan Allen. At least that's
if
that's
Zach
what I'm
Moss
hoping.
was playing today, or sorry, if if you knew that Keenan Allen was playing today, would you start him or Zach Moss this week?
I will start Zach Moss just based off matchup,
So I kind of
but matchup
agree,
is also
but
good for Keenan Allen though.
that's what I was going to say. I kind of agree, but it's a good matchup. And I think after this week, I do want Keenan Allen for the rest of the season over Zach Moss.
Hmm.
The one game he played, he had 11 targets. That's encouraging. Almost caught a touchdown. So I think this week I prefer Moss, but if you don't need him, I want Keenan rest of the season more.
Yeah, look, it's definitely a not a make or break. What am I trying to explain? It's like you are you're betting on Moss to take off to get more value, essentially.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe in that, then just trade for Keenan Allen now. But
He should
um,
Zach Moss should be very good this week. In
he
theory
should be very
he
good.
should be very good.
Yeah.
Daniel 007, appreciate you, man. He says Akers or Ford. Neighbors should play quarterback over Daniel Jones and throw to himself. Um,
That'd be crazy.
if
Like,
if
go ahead.
Akers is a starter and there's no Mixon, this is Akers for me.
I'm going to say this is Jerome Ford for me. And
Even if Mixon sits.
even if Mixon six. And the reason why is because I think the Vikings defense is better than what we expect them to be. And Jerome Ford, even though last week wasn't a good sign, I'm believing in the bounce back, with once again those 7 opportunities, has 60 yards. The Giants run defense is terrible. Um, I mean, look, I don't know. I think that's harder personally, but I would bet on Jerome Ford. And that's
Okay.
more of a I have Jerome Ford higher than Cam Akers, technically. But with Joe Mixon, that definitely changes stuff. But for
I
me,
would
I would go Jerome Ford.
I don't know. Like to be honest, I can we both agree that Akers is going to get all the work if he plays and Mixon's not out there?
I
This is
agree.
what's tough about this question. I don't think I can say that for Jerome Ford.
What I can say for Jerome Ford though is
And
that
Mixon's on or Akers on the best offense too.
yeah, and I mean I understand, but I just don't know if they're going to be leaning on Cam Akers like that. Where we don't know if
Well,
they're going to be
they're
leaning on Jerome
definitely
Ford
not going to
like
lean
that
on
either.
Jerome Ford like that from what we've seen. You know that for sure.
I would just say this: the Giants, we currently give up the eighth most points to the running back position. Brian
Sure.
Robinson last week was looking like a top 10 running back in the league.
He is.
Like we don't have a good run
I mean,
defense. Our
if anything, based off of history, you should buy all the Ricky Pearsall stock you can. When these guys get
yeah,
shot, okay, this is terrible. I'm not going to go down that path. That is
I, I,
crazy.
to be fair, I liked Brian Robinson
You
before he
did.
got shot, and then he just got shot, and then he just became 10 times better. But
Yeah, that was just
anyways,
a mentality. He's like, I think, you. Anyway, we're not going to go down that path. Demetrios, appreciate you, man. He says, guys, I'm really stuck on this. With no Pacheco, I have Gus Bus, Bucky, Madison, and Monty. Who do I start other than Monty? You definitely start Monty, yeah, and you know that. Um,
mhm.
hate Gus's matchup. Love Bucky's matchup. Madison is probably the name I'd throw out there
That's where I was gonna
because
go.
he plays the Panthers and we saw them give them a goal line opportunity, which is so dumb, but they did. So that's probably the name I'd go with.
I don't love it, but that's kind of where I lean as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Lean with it,
yeah.
rock with it. Um,
Chris A says appreciate you. He says half PPR, pick one Keon Coleman and Nia Mitchell or Braylon Allen. Oh my gosh. I guess it has to be Keon Coleman for me. Um, I'm not sure. Look, if Braylon Allen continues to get workload, I mean, actually, it might be Braylon Allen. I don't know. Like, hold on. Let me go
well,
triple check. I felt like they
yeah.
really want to get Braylon in this mix.
I agree. That's why I had the comp of like the Green Bay backfields back in the day with AJ Dillon and Jamal
I'm
Williams.
gonna rock with Braylon Allen. I hate it though. I can't. I'm not telling you this for with confidence,
I'll
but I don't like it.
I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna tell you Keon Coleman, and the reason is because I have no idea what the right answer is, and at least on Monday Night Football, you'll be excited like about the potential of a guy who could do something for you. Um, Honestly, the right answer is probably Braylon Allen, but I think I would just throw Keon out there.
Yeah, I mean, I initially was gonna go Keon,
The
but I
percentages
mean,
of one of these guys getting a touchdown, I genuinely think it's higher with Keon Coleman. I just don't think we
you
can
know,
predict a touchdown for Braylon again.
I would say I would think it's higher for Braylon. He had a rushing and a receiving.
I know,
Keon
but
hasn't scored a
that's
touchdown yet.
that's not going to be predictive each week.
Yeah, I get it. I'm gonna go Braylon Allen. You had Zach's going Keon Coleman,
I would
and we probably didn't help you at all.
I would probably leave it in fate's hands. And this is not even a joke. I'd probably write both their names in a hat, pick one out, or I'd ask my if you have a significant other, they probably don't know football. Which name do you like better? Because
Yep, that's why I do that all the time.
quite frankly, when it's a decision like this, there's how are we supposed to know? You know, it's like
Yeah,
really difficult. Um,
I agree.
Brian
Brian,
Orlando, who just such a badass name, got to be a movie
Orlando.
character or something one day. Fellas, start Purdy, Gino, Darnold, Watson, or Fields. So this must be he's pulling from the waiver wire. Um, that must be what that is. So let's think about that.
Well, I'll tell you this: Fields and Watson are out. I'm contemplating between these three, which is Purdy, Gino, Darnold. Darnold has an interesting matchup here against the Texans. He probably is going to have to throw more.
I'll go
Gino
Purdy.
is going against the Dolphins, and I am going to go Purdy as well, who's going against the Rams, which I think this team is terrible without Puka Nacua and Cooper Cup.
Well, they're also terrible without Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald changed this defense in every way, rushing and the amount of pressure he put on the quarterback, which helped their secondary. It's just not there anymore. They're such an easy defense to go against. But I'll go Purdy. L Jet, appreciate you, man. CMC for Garrett Wilson and Javante. Good trade.
CMC for
The
Garrett
Javante
Wilson.
part of that is what's really screwing me up. I know we got a lot of work. I could be wrong, but I still have no interest whatsoever in rostering Javante Williams.
I completely agree. It's a
It
tough one.
has to
That
be a
is a tough
different
one.
name. I mean, you need to give me a name like Zach Moss. You know, I need a name like Aaron Jones, even Tony
We just need somebody.
Pollard,
We just need somebody else. Yeah.
JSN if you can buy him low, Jamison Williams, Xavier Worthy. I just don't love it, man.
I don't love it either.
Rob Hopkins says Superflex have Hurts, Fields, or Watson as QB2. I'm going to rock with Justin Fields just because of the rushing floor that he gives you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson has a better chance of scoring more points just because he's playing my Giants. So that's where I'll be going.
Well, so
Um,
what I'm hearing, the only thing I just heard is Amari Cooper is going to blow up this week.
I hope he doesn't. I really hope he doesn't.
I'm not even going to play him against you though.
If there's anything that I'll just say this. If there's anything we can take away from
Actually, I might have to play
like
him against you if Joe
the
Mixon doesn't
Giants,
play.
the Giants defense is that like the secondary hasn't been terrible. It's the run defense. We have Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, and Dex Lawrence, and we can't stop Brian Thomas or
Yeah,
Brian Rob.
why is Kayvon Thibodeau in like every interview pretending like he's the best edge rusher in the league? Like his
I mean,
attitude, the way he approaches the interview is like you
dude,
would think the guy has like 30 sacks in his career through 2
yeah,
years or something. Like
it's
why is he
just
talking like that?
it's just annoying, and it's like if there was one thing we were so excited about is like, you know, um, Shane Bowen or whatever his name is, our defensive coordinator. Oh, he was so good at stopping the run. We saw it in the Hard Knocks. If you remember, he was like, oh,
Yeah.
so Brian Dable going to office. He's like, dude, Shane Bowen, fifth least amount, fifth least yards to running backs, eighth yards in 2021. Like now we're shit. Anyways,
Yeah.
and we have
Well,
better talent
so
technically
you
than what
agree
he
with me
had
that
before.
Kayvon needs to shut the hell up and play football, right?
Yeah, Kayvon needs to shut
Like,
the hell up
bro,
and play football.
do anything impressive for like any stretch of games before you talk like that. Like, you are not him. I don't know what this mentality was. Like, it all stems from you choosing Oregon for your brand over other names. I love Oregon, by the way. Best jerseys in college football. Fight me. But it's like this, like, what's the word to
I
describe it?
agree.
It's like this
Uh,
overconfidence cockiness that just blows my mind. You're not that
yeah,
good, pal. You're not that guy. You're not that guy.
you're just not
Um,
that guy.
Entitlement's a perfect word. It's entitlement. It's like,
Yeah,
sorry, you haven't done anything to talk like that yet, have ya? Have ya? Um, all right. We'll probably end the
and
stream here because the game's about to start, guys. Any super chats will be answered. Otherwise, we'll probably log off here. And the last one I can see here is from Daniel. He says Schultz or Brenton Strange or Zach Ertz for tight end. For me, if there's no Evan Ingram, this is Brenton Strange.
yeah, I agree.
Would you rock with Schultz or Ertz if there is Evan Ingram this week? I don't think there will be, by the
I,
way. Ingram hasn't practiced.
no, I actually, excuse me, I will go Dalton Schultz if he plays, especially without Joe Mixon,
Okay.
because I know he was dealing with the injury last week. But yeah, give me Dalton Schultz.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
I do lean Britain if there's no Ingram there. Hopefully that helps. All right, last one here is from Rob. It's a super chat. Um, he's showing us his team. Lots of running backs, good wide receivers and running backs. Trying to open up a spot. Trade Chubb, Diggs for Waddle. That's just not the upgrade you think it is. Is a problem. Like Waddle with no Tyreek Hill with no Tua is not someone that I'm excited about. Can you do that trade for Jamison Williams? Jackson
yeah,
Smith and Jigba. Can
yeah,
you do that trade for Zay Flowers, Devonta Smith, Chris Olave even? Outside of that, I just don't think Waddle's the upgrade you think it is right now,
I
at
agree.
least. Yeah.
Excuse me, I completely agree.
All right, guys, we appreciate you big time. Hey, I will definitely be live after the game. Will you be with us? Either way is fine.
Maybe.
Okay.
I think
Either
it's
way,
difficult to handle. Yeah.
we will want. It'll be me or me and Badaki after the game. We'll be live. Come join us. Turn those notifications on, and we'll keep answering questions. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for all the love. Peace.